Resource to be exploited, a problem to be managed, or a backdrop for well-meaning but ultimately superficial gestures. We are a people with our own agency, our own history, and our own profound contributions to make to the world. We ask for the dignity of being treated as equals, and for the opportunity to build our own future, with or without your charity. The final words hung in the air, a stark and unyielding challenge. The glamorous Wilshire Theatre, usually a bastion of controlled narratives and curated emotions, felt suddenly small, almost insignificant. The audience, moments before engaged in polite applause and murmured affirmations, sat in a silence far deeper than anything Denzel Washington had ever commanded in a film. It was the silence of revelation, of discomfort, and perhaps, of nascent understanding. Denzel, usually so adept at controlling the rhythm of an event, found himself momentarily speechless. He simply looked at the screen, at the young president of a nation most had never heard of, and then back at the stunned faces in the audience. There was no denying the raw power of what they had just witnessed. This wasn't entertainment, it was truth, unfiltered and unapologetic. Finally, Denzel broke the silence, his voice a little hoarse. "President Traoré," he said, "thank you. Thank you for your candor. Thank you for your truth. We hear you." He turned to the audience, his gaze sweeping over the faces of the celebrities, the executives, the philanthropists. "What we have just heard," he continued, "is not a request for donations. It is a demand for a different way of seeing, a different way of engaging. It is a reminder that true change begins not with giving money, but with listening, understanding, and addressing the root causes of injustice." A slow, hesitant clap began somewhere in the middle of the theater, then another, and another, until it swelled into a sustained, thunderous ovation. It wasn't the polite, programmed applause of a charity event. It was an acknowledgement, a release, and a testament to the fact that sometimes, the most profound impact comes not from what is expected, but from what is utterly, undeniably real. Backstage, Sarah Chen stood transfixed, her phone still in her hand. Marcus, the junior producer, looked at her, his eyes wide. "Did that just happen?" he whispered. Sarah could only nod. The carefully planned evening had been derailed, but in its place, something far more significant had emerged. The screens on either side of the stage now showed a still image of President Traoré, his face resolute, surrounded by the hopeful faces of his students. The image, though grainy, had a power that transcended the technical limitations. The rest of the evening proceeded, but with a palpable shift in atmosphere. The subsequent speakers, though sticking to their scripts, seemed to choose their words more carefully. The tech billionaire spoke not just of his foundation's initiative, but of the responsibility of global corporations. The pop star, after her acoustic performance, shared a personal reflection on the disconnect between her privileged life and the struggles faced by so many. The anecdotes from humanitarian trips felt less like self-congratulatory tales and more like genuine confessions of learning. As the event drew to a close, Denzel Washington returned to the stage for his final remarks. "Tonight," he said, looking directly into the cameras, "we were reminded that the world is far larger and more complex than the narratives we often consume. We were reminded that empathy requires more than a checkbook, it requires a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths." He paused, then continued, "President Traoré spoke of dignity, of opportunity, and of justice. These are not abstract concepts. They are the bedrock of a world where every child, no matter where they are born, has the chance to realize their dreams. Our challenge, and our responsibility, is to move beyond good intentions and toward systemic change. To ask ourselves not just how we can help, but how we can stop hindering. To recognize that sometimes, the most powerful voices are those that have been silenced for too long." The applause that followed was different again, less about reverence for a celebrity and more about a shared moment of awakening. People lingered in the theater, their conversations more subdued, more reflective. The glitter and glamour of Hollywood still existed, but for one night, it had been pierced by a profound and inconvenient truth. In the days and weeks that followed, the impact of that unexpected phone call reverberated globally. Clips of President Traoré's speech went viral, shared across social media platforms, translated into dozens of languages. News outlets that had previously ignored Burkina Faso now sought interviews, sending correspondents to the region. Academics and activists debated his words, some praising his courage, others criticizing his directness, but no one could deny the conversation he had sparked. The charity event, Voices for Change, became synonymous not with the money raised, but with the moment of raw honesty that had redefined it. Donations did pour in, not just to the Children's Education Initiative, but to grassroots organizations in Burkina Faso and other African nations, many specifically requesting that their contributions be used to support local-led development projects and initiatives that champion self-reliance. Denzel Washington, already a respected figure, gained a new dimension of influence. He became an unexpected advocate for a more equitable global dialogue, using his platform to amplify voices that had traditionally been marginalized. He initiated conversations with policymakers, facilitated meetings between African leaders and international organizations, and consistently returned to the themes of justice, dignity, and true partnership. President Ibrahim Traoré, for his part, continued his work in Burkina Faso, his image no longer just that of a military leader, but of a man who had dared to speak truth to power on a global stage. The Ibrahim Sankara Academy, which had been shown to the world, received international attention and support, but critically, it maintained its local leadership and vision, a testament to the principle of self-determination that Traoré had so passionately articulated. The story of that Thursday evening in Los Angeles became a legend in Hollywood, a cautionary tale for those who sought to control every narrative, and an inspiring one for those who understood that true impact often comes from embracing the unpredictable. It was a reminder that even in the most polished and predictable of settings, a single, authentic voice, armed with nothing but truth, could shatter a carefully constructed illusion and spark a global awakening. It was the story of how a charity event became a crucible for change, and how the world, for a brief, powerful moment, was compelled to listen. It was a testament to the fact that sometimes, the most profound moments happen when we least expect them, and that truth, when spoken with conviction, can indeed break through the glittering facade of entertainment, leaving an indelible mark on history.